into authentic conversations about ourselves and our community, exploring topics that uplift and inspire us, from personal growth to social change. So grab your teacup and get ready to join the conversation.
Statements made by the prosecution team, defense team, and Mia on June 2nd, 2025. Some words have been censored to comply with YouTube's
and I
guidelines.
do want to say, a lot of the girls that Diddy were interacting with were all young, impressionable, vulnerable girls in the world. None of them, aside from like Kim Porter, J-Lo, were any women, even Kim Porter, I believe, she was just starting out as a model. She wasn't like in her Naomi Campbell bag at the time yet. So Diddy seems to, encroach on women that he knows he can kind of manipulate financially in that, manner, or however have you. A lot of the girls, just seem to do whatever Diddy put out for them to do, seemingly for them to believe that they were his girlfriend. I want to drop this tea on all the young women, any women out there that are listening right now. Do what you do, however you feel like selling your soul. Not for nothing. I mean, Diddy had these women sleeping with 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different men in a night, back to back to back, on their birthday, for God's sakes. I mean, what woman wants to have a freak off session on their birthday just to please their partner? Unless that's what you're into, do you do what you do, okay? However, just so you can have your rent paid, your car note paid, your go on a vacation, however, whatever have you. There's a lot more to life than just, giving yourself to someone because I love my partner. I wanted to always and only please my partner. There are so many other ways that a man can appreciate you, your body, and what you bring to this world than you sleeping with 9, 10 men in the night just to show him, how much you love to please your partner. That shit is insanely crazy. The things that, Diddy proposed his so-called girlfriends, young girls, women in his life would do for him to show him that they cared for him back as well. I mean, y'all need to go to school, get a trade, get a skill, get a career, go to college. You see what I'm saying? Stop wasting your parents' college money on bullshit. Get your lives in order so that you are not someone that wealthy men would prey on. And in a sense, sorry, I've been eating corn nuts. In a sense, use your body for a toilet stool. Because that's exactly what Diddy did to those young girls. So we're going to keep those young girls lifted up in prayer and hope that, things in their life turn around for the better the rest of their lives, because so far that is not what it should have been given. Next up, we have Mia on June 2nd. We're going to double back to June 2nd. We're going to finish up with some Mia testimony. Thanks for sipping tea with Tanisha. Let's sip this tea.
What you're about to hear is a voiced-over reading of Mia's testimony in the Sean Diddy Combs trial. Source: courtroom reporter at Inner City Press on X.com. All parties are presumed innocent until proven guilty. Listen at your own discretion. Show DX1750. Did you work as an assistant to someone?
Maybe 2008 or 2007. I'm not sure.
You had a resume saying you had the ability to multitask and had thick skin.
I'm not sure I wrote that.
That you were able to deal with uncomfortable situations 24/7. At this moment, the prosecution objected, but was overruled. Did you use this as your CV?
Looks like it.
1753-R for admission. You went to James Madison University. It's a well-known institution.
Sure.
Then you were a design assistant.
Yes.
In 2008 to 9, you say you provided round-the-clock support. All personal and professional needs, keeping passport.
Okay, now we have already heard testimony of that, okay, from Mia a week or so back. So now we're going to get into other Diddy news, okay? Let's get into some more Diddy news. What's been going on in the trial since we left off on day 12, okay? We're coming up to day 15 and current. Everything's explosive. We have got, activated snitches and exposed nymphomaniacs, okay, all over Diddy stuff. Let's see what TMZ's been talking about, y'all. TMZ on Diddy. Thanks for sipping tea with Tanisha. Let's see what's been going on. What's been going on? Diddy trial, damning evidence. What's the damning evidence? I want to know. Who wants to know with Tanisha? Talks tease. Let's see.
Today on TMZ.
Well, the old saying is you don't want to know how the sausage is made, but in the case of one Kylie Jenner, we definitely want to know how the boobs are made.
This ban on...
Not really.
Not a bribe. This is a payment.
Diddy was very concerned that he wanted to make sure that this was the only copy. This was it.
But that obviously isn't what happened.
No.
Cardi B is super happy that she left Offset.
I was gonna end up killing him, seriously, with my own bare hands.
Get over it, Cardi. She's still hung up on him.
She really is.
If I'm Stefan...
So we're getting past all the other hot topics on TMZ to get to the Diddy stuff.
Who killed JFK? Where is Jimmy Hoffa? Who is the father of Bigfoot's?
And then tan, and then you're wearing the short shorts. That's a little weird.
Still don't know how the prosecutors got the actual hard drive recording. When they raided the house, did they get it, is my question.
Or the hotel said, yeah, we'll delete it and didn't.
So, what does this mean for Diddy?
This is not a bribe. A bribe is to a public official. This is a payment for silence to private people, security guards at a hotel. It's legal to do this.
Because the deal itself is legal, it doesn't really go toward a RICO. This isn't a criminal enterprise.
So then what's the point of bringing all this up in court?
To show state of mind that he was trying to cover up an illegal act.
If he thought it was legal, if there wasn't anything illegal, nothing to cover up.
Which means it's not looking good for Diddy.
Sabrina Carpenter just released a teaser. Borderline
on this one.
things go.
That's great. Except that he was just on my podcast talking about it. So obviously he thinks about it.
But also in these moments, you have to...
Okay, they only said like 2 things about Diddy on that one. Hold on, we're going to get to Diddy shit. Okay.
After sex with these 2 other men, she was feeling sick and she got up and went to the bathroom, says she threw up, and Diddy came into the bathroom and said, "Are you okay?" And he said something to the effect of, "Well, you vomited, you're going to feel better now. And she's like, I'm really not feeling all that well. And he says, well, you got to come on, because guy number 3 is waiting in the room. And she had to go back out and have yet another sexual encounter with this third person. Hey everyone, Charles here, and it was the 18th day in Diddy's trial, and Jane is the star on the 18th day because this is one of Diddy's ex-girlfriends who's testifying, and she's testifying under the pseudonym Jane. And probably the key moment in the trial today, this is a quote from the defendant: "Get on your job." And that, you actually heard Diddy's voice. People who were in the court heard that. We're going to explain why that was such an important phrase for the jury to hear, and for the jury to hear that audio. So Jane was testifying as she started yesterday. Today she was, the prosecutors were questioning her about her lifestyle with Diddy. We heard her say several times that she was in love with him. This was someone that she viewed as her partner, and that she wanted to make him happy. In fact, they had what she referred to as a love contract. That they had a love contract they signed for 2 years. And why there needed to be a contract? Well, that's because she says Diddy was paying her rent. And in fact, here was something kind of shocking. She said he's still paying her rent. Mind you, he went into, he was arrested back in September. And here she is testifying for the government against him, but she said he is still paying $10,000 a month. That was the agreed upon price in their contract. So she talks about when this contract started. They were in Turks and Caicos, and it was a trip that she thought was going to be just the two of them, a nice romantic trip. And she said, turns out that he had also arranged for, and this is her word, an entertainer, a sex worker or escort, to be flown to Turks and Caicos, and they ended up having what Cassie called freak-offs. Jane is referring to as hotel nights. And that went down, and she said she was disappointed by that, but again, she wanted to make her man happy. So she talks about, now one of the things that, because she's talking a lot about these hotel nights and these sexual encounters, and she gets into, in some parts of the testimony today, very graphic detail about what was happening during these hotel nights with other men, multiple men in some instances. But one of the things she talks about is whether or not, what the prosecutors are trying to get to is whether or not she was forced into this. And this was really important. We heard this when Cassie was testifying, and we're going to get it throughout Jane's as well, that the jurors no doubt are listening for, and the prosecutors want to raise instances where it seems that Jane was forced into this, that there was coercion, and that she was sex trafficked. And she talks about condoms. She said that the first time it came up was during a night they were in Las Vegas, and that they had an entertainer come over, and she said it out loud, made it clear to Diddy that she wanted this entertainer to wear a condom. And she said that Diddy told her he didn't want to see any rubbers, and that she felt, this is what she said she felt like it was a guilt trip, and so they ended up not using condoms. And that was the way things usually went. She said that there were not condoms involved, but she clearly wanted that. But at some point she didn't.
And that is so disgusting. Like, Diddy is a sickening person. Okay. Should he go to prison in the feds for not wanting his so-called freak-off girlfriends to not use protection? No, that's not a crime. However, morally and, just all, around, however you want to look at it, that's disgusting that, Diddy and them are some walking diseases. Diddy and them is walking diseases. They over here freaking off with every, escort prostitute that they could possibly find, with no condoms. That is disgusting. That is disgusting. And we're wondering why, we're just saturated with all types of STDs, AIDS and everything.
Because again, she said she wanted to make Diddy happy. The part here is, did she ever say it to him? Now, she says during this Vegas trip, she did say she wanted to use condoms and that they ended up not using them. But the point here is that if she doesn't say it to Diddy, how is he supposed to know that she is doing something she doesn't want to? And if it's just that she felt something, that might not actually get to the point of coercion. He can't tell he's forcing her unless she voices that objection. She said she did in Vegas, so will that one instance be enough? I'm not sure. But as for...
Be enough to what, though? To say that the coercion of Diddy not, wanting her to use a condom while she willingly participated in X acts with prostitutes and escorts, that's coercion in a RICO trafficking charge? How? Enough to do what? Because it sounds like she was never beaten, she was never hit. We never have heard her testify to the extent of what Cassie did, or I don't know what the jurors have saw. I don't know. But I know what we have heard so far, and we haven't heard so far that he beat on any woman like he did Cassie or beat Kim Porter.
These hotel nights, she talked about one, and this is one where, to me, it's certainly, if I'm on the jury, this definitely sounds like forcing her into something. She says they had a hotel night. They have, she had sex with not one, but two other men. Diddy was there and involved in certain ways. But after sex with these two other men, she was feeling sick and she got up and went to the bathroom, says she threw up, and Diddy came into the bathroom and said, "Are you okay?" And he said something to the effect of, "Well, you vomited, you're gonna feel better now." And she's like, "I'm really not feeling all that well." And he says, "Well, you gotta come on, because guy number 3 is waiting in the room." And she had to go back out and have yet another sexual encounter with this third person. I mean, she's describing feeling sick to her stomach. She's saying it was probably because of drugs she was taking. She talked a lot about doing ecstasy before these things just to get in the mood, that she needed this to get in the mood. And she's throwing up in the bathroom, and his concern is, according to her testimony, his only concern is, we got another guy out there, let's go, get back on it. So, let's get to this.
I mean, how much more different is Diddy than, say, a Hugh Hefner? You see what I'm saying? We have heard, I'm watching these stories on the Playboy murders, and I've also watched a lot of things unfold on the Playboy mansion, the Playboy lifestyle. After Hugh Hefner died was really the only time that people were actually really willing to come out about Hugh Hefner, and there was a lot of shit that came out about Hugh Hefner's ass, and we never saw Hugh Hefner on trial for anything, or even going to jail for any fucking thing. I've heard stories about Hugh Hefner sleeping with chihuahuas, sleeping with fucking German shepherds, because he had, fucked everything moving, including men, allegedly underage people. I heard things on this television show about Hugh Hefner where Hugh Hefner had a lot of football players. Allegedly, Bill Cosby was there, other people in celebrity world, and they were raping girls in some pool area or some shit. They were raping girls anally. All types of shit was going on. Not one time did we see Hugh Hefner's ass go to jail. I'm not saying it's right. I know it's very wrong if it's all true. But it seems as if this girl, she knew what it took to please her partner and keep her rent paid. Yeah, she may have said, "Oh my God, I feel so sick, Diddy." Did she say not tonight, Diddy? I can't go on another guy, Diddy. I want to leave, Diddy. Diddy, please don't make me do this anymore. Anything of that nature, because it sounded to me, y'all let me know, sippers, what it sounded like to y'all. Okay. As far as her being unwilling or, saying, I can't, I gotta go. I want to leave. Let's end this now. Diddy's like, okay, shit, you threw up. Now you should feel a little bit better. Let's get back in here and, keep the party going type shit. And you know what I'm saying? According to how she knew things rocked and roll with Diddy and her, it was expected of her to know what her role was to play in that moment. She chucked it up. She threw it up. She chucked it up. She swallowed it, and she went back out there and continued to perform for her lover, her partner, because that's all she lived to do, was to please her partner. If that's a sex trafficking victim, she's not saying or claiming to be. That's all I'm saying, sippers. Well, what do y'all hear? Tell me if y'all hear something different.
On your job, quote. And this was a voice message that was played in court. She's describing an argument that she's having with Diddy on the phone, and or they're communicating by phone, and she's saying, why are you doing things this way? They're having an argument, and she's admonishing Diddy for saying something about the father of her child. And during that argument, he leaves, and the prosecutors played this voice message in court. He leaves her a message that says, I don't have time for this, baby girl. You need to get on your job. And the prosecutors asked Jane what she took that to mean. She said, I took it to mean I need to go back to making him happy, keeping him happy with these hotel nights, with these sexual encounters, because he is paying my rent.
Exactly.
That her job, she was getting this money, and he's paying for her rent, and what she had to do in return was do these sexual encounters with multiple other men. So does that rise to the level of coercion? We're told from our reporter in the courtroom that voice that when you heard Diddy saying that, he sounded annoyed. That he was annoyed that she was arguing with him about something that he clearly felt was nonsense, and what he wanted her to focus on was her job. That really does sound like coercion. And again, it doesn't have to be multiple instances of it. If they can make it clear to the jury that she felt like she was being forced into this, that gets the job done as far as that counts. Now, keep in mind that there was all day, this was just the prosecution questioning Jane. The defense has not gotten to cross-examine her yet. I'm certain that when they do, and it looks like that will happen some point late on Monday, or maybe it won't even start till Tuesday. But once they do, they're absolutely going to hit on this point that you continue to do this. It was your choice to keep taking this $10,000. It was your choice to have him paying your rent. You could have left. She has not mentioned any instances of violence, which we had with Cassie. So you can make the argument with Cassie that she felt intimidated, that if she tried to leave, if she said no, that there would be some violence inflicted upon her. We have not heard that from Jane, and so I would imagine that the defense is going to hit on that. But again, that didn't happen today, so really all the jurors heard were her tales of being, as she's describing it, being forced to do all of these sexual encounters that she didn't want to. She said she loved Sean, that she wanted to make her partner happy, and that's what she was doing, and that's why she was doing it. Will the jury take it that way, or will they start to think, that she had a choice and could have left? You don't have, here's the big difference between Jane and Cassie. The jurors don't have this video in their minds, right? They don't have a hotel beating that's captured on camera. And so it is plausible, in the words of Bill Maher, that they are going to feel like she should have left. We'll see what happens with that next week. But for that reason, and for the jury hearing Diddy's voice saying, "Get on your job," I think you got to say the prosecution was the winner today. And maybe the defense will be able to blunt that once they start cross-examination. But this was a long, long day of testimony from Jane, laying out all the lurid details of their sexual encounters, which she says she didn't want to be in. So, got to hand this one to the prosecution. We will see what happens next week. And that started this massive fight where she says Diddy then starts chasing after her. She says that he kicked through a bedroom door and then she hid in the bathroom, and he kicked down the bathroom door and is going after her. At one point, she goes into a closet and he is chasing her, grabs her, puts her in a headlock. Hey everybody, Charles here, and welcome to your recap of the 19th day of the Diddy trial. And Jane's testimony continued today with something really explosive, a description of something, and I know this is going to be hard to believe, but at least from the description, that Cassie beating video that we have all seen and we've all been horrified by, with good reason, that beating does not compare to something that Jane described, a fight that she and Diddy got into where they are both punching each other. It is really brutal. We're going to get to that in a moment. But the day started with the mistrial and the judge addressing what we told you happened over the weekend, that Diddy's attorneys had filed for a mistrial, accusing the prosecutors of intentionally putting someone on the stand, that person being Cassie, and having her tell what they believe is a lie about this incident where Diddy allegedly hung Brianna Bongolan over the 17th-story balcony. And the lie they claim in the mistrial filing is that Cassie, when she was on the stand, said that she witnessed this, that she actually saw Diddy do this to Brianna. Well, when Brianna testified, she said that Cassie was home. This happened at Cassie's apartment. Cassie was home, but she did not come out and actually see anything until after Diddy had pulled Brianna back over the balcony and thrown her into some deck furniture. So there is also this text message where Cassie says to Christina Coram, Diddy's chief of staff, says to her, "Look, I just found out something really shocking that happened." So the fact that she's saying she found it out does not sound like she was there witnessing it, and they believe that this is prejudicing the jury and that you had someone commit perjury. They say, they contend that it is Cassie who lied because Cassie did not actually see this. So we will see what the judge said this morning, that prosecution will get a chance to respond to that, whether there's a mistrial on Tuesday morning. So a big day. As for the rest of the day's testimony, once the jury came in, Jane was back on the stand. This is Diddy's ex, who was testifying under that pseudonym. And she talked about being with him on the day that the lawsuit was filed, that Cassie filed the lawsuit. Actually, not being with him on the day the lawsuit was filed, but reading the lawsuit after it had been filed. And remember, it was settled the day after Cassie filed this. She and Diddy reached an agreement, and she got $30 million. But Jane says she was reading the lawsuit, and she told Diddy that it was very upsetting to her because it felt like she was reading her own story. And she said that there were so many things in Cassie's lawsuit that felt like events that she had gone through. And then she also talked about being with him the day the Cassie tape was released, the hotel beating tape was released, and watching the lawyers come in, watching staff members huddle around him, family members huddle around, talking about how they were going to go forward here. She says that she even saw his first draft when he was doing his apology video, what he was going to say. So she talked about all of that. And while it was upsetting, she did say that they were sort of on a break after Cassie's lawsuit. And they finally did come back together around Jane's birthday in February the next year. And she talks about feeling like this was going to be different, this was better. But she ultimately said, yes, there were more hotel nights, as she puts it. Cassie called them freak-offs. She calls them hotel nights. And that this even continued after the raids went down. Now, she says after the raids at Diddy's homes, they would no longer go to hotels, but they would do it at his home or her home. And there was one night in particular that she talked about that was in June of 2024. And this was, actually the date was June 18th. And this is this huge fight that they got into, that just to read her description of this, it sounded to me like, if you've seen the old movie The Shining, when Jack Nicholson is chasing down his wife and breaks through the door with the axe and says, "Here's Johnny." That's what, and I don't mean to laugh about it. In the movie, you can laugh about it, but what Jane described is really horrifying. And she says that they were having a pleasant evening. They showed photos of the dinner that had been laid out. There were candles, and she thought it was going to be a nice romantic night at home. But she said about 30 minutes into this, they had been having some champagne, they had some tequila, and things got a little touchy at first because he had been on a trip to Utah, and Jane said, "Who were you on this trip with?" Accused him of being with another woman. And what she was really upset about is that he continues, and she talked about this all day, that he continually would take other women, she believes, on these trips, and she would never go on those trips. She was only really, she felt, there to have these encounters with other men. So she says she confronts him about this and actually called him a pedophile. Said that, she very quickly made it clear she didn't mean that the woman that she was accusing him of being with was under 18, but she was, as she put it, 27 years his junior, not yet able to buy alcohol legally, and she felt like that was like being a pedophile, and that started a huge fight between them. She admits that she pushed his head into the kitchen counter, and that when he bent over to tie his shoe, and she pushed his head into the kitchen counter, and that started this massive fight where she says Diddy then starts chasing after her. She says that he kicked through a bedroom door, and then she hid in the bathroom, and he kicked down the bathroom door and is going after her. At one point, she goes into a closet, and he is chasing her, grabs her, puts her in a headlock. She finally escapes from this closet, says she manages to change her clothes, and then she runs down the block from her home 6 blocks away and hides behind a wall and stays behind this wall for 2 hours and then goes back to the house. And when she goes back to the house,
Thanks for watching. Remember to show your support by liking, subscribing, and sharing. It's a blessing. Keep your teacups filled and ready for my next upload. Until then, stay inspired and remember, always stay sifted.